Storms are bringing some relief from the heat and dropping badly needed rain. Too much too soon, though, led to flooding like this in Conifer in Jefferson County.
Even with the rain, it was another hot one in Denver. We reached a high of 95 degrees at the airport and over 90 for the 12th day in a row if you're counting. Tomorrow, finally, a change. The storms did cause some disruptions at Denver International Airport. There were nearly 900 delays and more than 50 cancellations. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Kim Christensen.
I'm Kyle Clark. The flooding danger is especially high in the burn scar areas from the Aspen Acres fire. They're expecting heavy rain there tomorrow. Meteorologist Kathy Sabin is along with that. Kathy?
We've been tracking heavy showers in that area tonight. The flash flood warning for the southern flank of the Aspen Acres burn scar just canceled out. Welcome rain moving across the Denver metro area and a welcome drop in temperature, 60s and 70s this hour instead of mid to upper 80s that we've been enduring for the past few weeks. And look at the humidity values. Lots of water in Colorado. It's wonderful, but in some cases too much of a good thing. Steering winds aloft are pushing these storms really slowly, and they just exploded out on the eastern plains. A severe thunderstorm warning just canceled for Sterling, but they're still dealing with heavy flooding rain from Fort Morgan to Sterling up to Julesburg. Flash flood warning in effect. This for Lincoln County until 11:45. Lyman, Araba, Hugo, and Flagler. Some of those county roads are washing out, and there may be another round of rain coming into the Denver metro area in the next hour or so. So we continue with the flood watch for western Colorado and eastern Utah. A lot of the flash flood warnings are canceled out, but we may not be entirely done with the rain tonight. A bit of a reprieve tomorrow, and then another round of slow-moving storms. That's right, heavy rain back in the forecast tomorrow. We'll have all those details, the timing and impact, just ahead.
Tonight, people gathered near a nightclub in southeast Denver to pay respects to the one person who was killed and 8 others who were hurt in a shooting there.
This came hours after the city suspended the licenses for that club. 9 News reporter Shalima Maharaj is here now with the latest on that. Shalima?
Well, the vigil took place a couple of hours ago with members of the community calling for peace and for justice. And it wasn't the only violent incident that we're talking about at this club. Back in March, a man was beaten in the parking lot and later died. And now the city's licensing department is accusing the club of a list of violations.
We do not gather here tonight on this 22nd day of July 2026 because you and I and we have the answers. We gather here because we serve a God who meets us in our sorrow.
They met and they mourned.
Know that issues of life, we are here. We are here in this building.
Led in prayer by Pastor Charlene Howard, her church shares a parking lot with Ultra Lounge East.
Man, our hearts are just devastated.
After a shooting that claimed the life of one person and injured 8 others, the doors to the club are now closed.
One life is no longer here.
And likely to stay that way for now.
8 lives are injured.
The City of Denver's Licensing and Consumer Protection Department suspended the club's liquor and entertainment licenses, alleging a list of violations, while accusing its owner of being unlicensed. In the summary suspension, it states the club is owned by Dole Batari and is licensed as Yak and Yeti Restaurant and Event Center. However, social media posts made by Deontay Wilkins indicates that he is the owner, adding that DLCP has information indicating that Batari had sold or subleased the licensed premises to Wilkins, but neither filed a transfer for ownership application.
I myself was on the patio when it happened, and went through this experience with everybody involved as well. I'm still really traumatized from the whole situation. I really can't believe that happened at a place that we love so much.
Wilkins, who attended the vigil with Ultra employees, declined to comment on the license suspension.
I love my community. I love Denver, and I'm sorry this is happening to us.
Now, a hearing on the license suspension is set for September 11th. I should note that the city also said Ultra's food license had expired in January 2024, and to date, a new one hasn't been applied for. Now, we also reached out to Dole Batari, the listed owner. He declined an interview, but did say that Wilkins was his tenant. Shalima Maharaj, 9 News.
An off-duty worker at the ICE detention facility in Aurora who's accused of shooting a protester is now charged with felonies. Brandon Booth was officially charged with assault and attempted assault today. He works for the GEO Group, the company that runs the ICE processing facility. After a demonstration wrapped up last week, court documents say protesters yelled at him and other workers, and then police say Booth took out a gun and fired a single shot, hitting a 21-year-old protester in the foot. Booth was originally held on suspicion of attempted murder. The DA brought reduced charges today. The judge also lowered his bail from $500,000 to $100,000. He remains in custody.
ICE's plan to open a detention center for immigrants in the town of Hudson, northeast of Denver, is now facing a legal challenge. Attorney David Seligman filed a suit this evening on behalf of a Denver-based interfaith nonprofit called Together Colorado and a woman whose property sits near the facility. The lawsuit argues that the land is not zoned as a correctional facility, and Seligman says therefore it cannot legally be used as an immigration detention center unless the town makes zoning changes through a public process. A draft of the lawsuit reviewed by 9 News says the facility is zoned industrial and was last used 2009 to 2013 as a private prison. At the time, the facility operated under a conditional use permit issued in 2008 and approved by voters through a ballot measure. Since it's been closed for more than a decade, the lawsuit argues that permit is no longer valid.
They're obligated under Colorado law to treat the ICE facility just like any other type of facility that might come into town, and to give the people of Hudson and the people of Colorado a voice in this process.
The town of Hudson has previously said that what it controls out there are traffic management, water, wastewater, emergency services, and community safety around the facility. But they've said the facility is privately owned. Any federal detention operation is authorized through federal contracts, not the town. The mayor did not respond to our questions today.
Help! Help us! Hey, you guys, come help us! ICE is here, help us!
Those are the moments federal agents removed a traveler from a Southwest Airlines jetway at Denver International Airport Monday night. An ICE spokesperson says Chantal Alejandra Morales Rojas was in the country on an expired visa. A GoFundMe posted on her behalf says she lives in Oakland and has a work permit with a pending asylum case. But ICE says that doesn't prevent someone from being deported. At DIA, federal officers, like ICE agents, can act if there is a warrant, court order, or reasonable suspicion.
Let's bring in 9 News reporter Colton Chavez, who's been speaking with a legal expert about what happened. Colton?
Yeah, Kyle, I talked with an immigration law expert at MSU Denver, and she tells me this is an important lesson for anyone, no matter your status.
Hey, you guys, come help us! ICE is here, help us!
Alicia Dansker was recording as her friend Chantal Alejandra Morales Rojas was detained by ICE agents on a jetway at Denver International Airport on Monday. ICE says Morales is in the country on an expired visa.
You do have constitutional rights regardless of your status.
Jasmine Chavez has a law degree and teaches at MSU Denver. She reviewed the video.
One of the best things that this person did is that she remained very calm. And at the same time, the other thing that's equally important is that there is an active bystander who is there to be able to document.
My lawyer's outside.
Chavez says if you're stopped while traveling domestically, like Chantal was, you have the right to ask questions.
You have every right to say, am I being stopped? And if they say yes, you have every right, regardless of your status, to ask, why am I being legally detained? And the question is important because they have to have a legal and a lawful reason to be able to stop you.
Recording, Chavez says, is also allowed.
Offer them nothing, show them nothing.
And furthermore, I'm going to advise you, you're interfering with a federal
I'm
law.
not. I'm standing right here.
I will charge you with 18
I'm not
USC
in your way.
Recording an individual being detained is not obstruction. It is a constitutional protection for you to be able to exercise your right as an observer, but also as a person.
Chavez says those rights don't change depending on where agents take you.
But you still have your constitutional rights, whether they take you into the jetway part or if they take you into a hallway.
And she says this applies no matter your immigration status.
Because these constitutional rights, again, are able to be exerted by anyone, even if you are without status.
And Chavez tells me the biggest takeaway is to stay calm and know you can ask why you're being detained. As for Chantal, ICE says she's remaining in custody pending removal proceedings. In the studio, Colton Chavez, 9 News.
Today, the Democratic nominee for governor, Phil Weiser, announced that Jeffco Commissioner Leslie Dahlkemper will be his running mate. Dahlkemper has served 2 terms in office. Before that, she was on the Jeffco School Board. In their only joint sit-down interview following today's announcement, Weiser told me that he believes that Dahlkemper is ready to serve as governor if for some reason he's no longer able. If something, God forbid, were to happen to you, you're confident that she could be governor?
1,000%. Let me tell you why, Kyle, because I got to watch her in action as we worked on the opioid crisis. One of the issues that came up is, what's the regional map going to look like? Version 1 was Jeffco alone. I went to the counties right next door, Gilpin, Clear Creek, and I said, do you guys want to be alone? They said, not really, but we don't know if we can trust Jeffco as a partner, because often rural counties think these larger counties ignore them, take them for granted. And I said to commissioners in rural counties, can you talk to Leslie? They did. Leslie earned their trust. She forged this larger region, including all 3 counties. And she showed them that she knows how to govern in a way that includes all of us. That mindset, that collaborative mindset, that's what we need in Colorado. We've got that with Leslie.
Dahlkemper sidestepped my questions about Republican candidate Victor Marks as if he and his campaign didn't exist. Marks has yet to pick a running mate, though today his campaign declined to have their ticket sit down and answer questions from 9 News once the ticket's finalized. You can see my full conversation with Weiser and Dahlkemper on the next YouTube channel.
Families with burial plots at the Lafayette Cemetery are weighing their options after city leaders approved a plan last night to address a decades-old record-keeping problem. The city says historical burial records were incomplete, leaving some families with plots that may already contain human remains. Owners can now choose to sell their plot back to the city, relocate to another cemetery, choose cremation, or pursue a casket burial with a backup plan in case that plot is already occupied. Some families want the city to do more to find out if remains are in previously sold plots.
I just think they need to redo some of the people's sites that want to be buried here to make sure that there's enough space for them.
The guiding principle and guiding philosophy is we want to do right by these people, but also be transparent about the level of challenge here.
Families have until October 31st to contact the city about their options and until January 31st to make their decision.
Niagara Bottling, the largest water user in Aurora, says it's working on ways to reduce water consumption. City Council met behind closed doors this week to talk about how Niagara has not cut back despite a mandatory 20% reduction due to the drought. The company, based out of California, has had a bottling plant in Aurora since 2012. Aurora Water says last year Niagara used more than 200 million gallons of water. It has allocated 178 mil. In a typical year, going over an allocation is not against the city rules. Customers just pay more. But Aurora is currently under Stage 1 drought restrictions. Niagara, along with other large water users, are expected to reduce their usage by 20%. The company now says it's expecting to save 8 to 10 million gallons this year with an in-plant recovery system that's already installed. It said it hopes every year after that it will save 20 million gallons, so that would be a 10% reduction. The city says it needs a 20% reduction. Niagara says it's working with Aurora Water on more conservation projects.